I represent a group of foreign investors.
Is that gold?
We are on episode 8 of season 2 of Tales from the Darkside on our journey to review every single episode of Tales from the Darkside. This one's called Distant Signals, and it's about a man, Mr. Smith, who will pay any amount of money to get his favorite series from the 1960s, Max Paradise, to run 6 more episodes and give him that finale that he's always been waiting for. He does what a lot of people would be tempted to do if they just had millions and millions of dollars. Personally, I think Firefly was canceled too early. So if I just had billions of dollars, would I go in there and just go, hey, create more Firefly? I mean, Joss Whedon got semi-canceled a few years ago, so he hasn't really done anything in like 5 years. So I could probably get him for the cheap. This guy, Mr. Smith, needs to have more episodes and a finale for this detective series, Max Paradise. It came out in the mid-1960s. He goes to the producer of the show and offers him money. The producer tells him Max Paradise was a failure. Nobody really liked it. This was no Man from U.N.C.L.E. or Dragnet. It wasn't even an Adam 12. Max Paradise was a failure, and everyone hated it, including the people that worked on it, the producers and the directors.
I want you to write and direct 6 more episodes of Max Paradise, including the final one when the detective's identity is revealed at last.
Still, this guy is insistent to get more episodes and gives them $35,000 and then later $2 million. So they agree to do it. Money talks. He has very electrifying eyes and mentions that he's from a very distant place, maybe planet. Character Mr. Smith is played by Lenny Von Dolan, who was in the Academy Award-winning film Tender Mercies in 1983. I know him from one of the bad guys in Home Alone 3, and he was also in David Lynch's Twin Peaks. He's an actor known for his electrifying eyes. Don't they just grab you? So first he has to find Max Paradise himself, the main detective, the actor who played the role, Van Conway, who's played by Darren McGavin, who we know from Christmas Story. And he was also in an episode of Monsters that I covered earlier, Portrait of an Artist. And Max Paradise is not doing very well. It's been 20 years since the show has gone off the air, and he is drinking.
About Max Paradise.
Forget about Max Paradise. He's dead. You want to revive him, get some kid. There's a million actors out there want a job.
Of course, money talks, so Darren McGavin agrees to reprise his role as Max Paradise after 20 years. After all, at this point, he's just a bartender and an alcoholic. And Mr. Smith gives him some nice space-age vitamins that revitalize him. If you can't tell at this point, Mr. Smith is obviously an alien. And I'm not sure they should have waited until the end to say this. Like, it's pretty clear as it's going on. The way he talks like this. And keeps referencing how he's from a distant place. And talking about how in his world, Max Paradise was a smashing success. In America, it did terribly. But, in Neptune, it was really popular. And despite the fact that Max Paradise is revitalized with these new vitamins, he kind of still acts the same. They gotta have Darren McGavin bumble around at the beginning and at the end. It would have been nice to see kind of a switch in his character, to see him go from a alcoholic that can barely talk to a suave detective. But you don't exactly see that. He still kind of acts the same. It's just they put like a toupee on him. So now he looks younger.
Be good to you.
Like the old days?
Oh yes. We'll shoot it in black and white like before.
And there's a nice scene where the director and writer of Max Paradise is reminiscing about the show. And we see that despite the fact that it was a failure and that he has to downplay his role in Max Paradise, he actually really liked the series and was very disappointed when it got canceled.
There's something to be said for amnesia. I saved my career when I buried that show.
Now you can finish it, just as you know you've always wanted.
But by heart.
It had passion. I couldn't forget it. And neither could you, Mr. Hearn. When you wrote it, you cared.
Once again, you can kind of input your favorite show into this character, where even if it isn't a smashing success, you might have seen it as a kid or when you were a teenager, and it still will kind of always stick with you. There's some movies or TV shows that you like as a kid that you will always really like. I used to watch stuff like The OC, which I'm not sure if I watch now I would like, but I really liked it at the time, and it kind of hit me at a perfect time when I was in high school and could relate to the characters and their struggles. Mr. Smith gets exactly what he wants. The last couple episodes and a final finale of Max Paradise where he takes out the bad guy. They show a clip from this, and I think this is the best part of the show. They just recreate a 1960s detective show in black and white. And I wish more of the episode was just the Max Paradise show. I actually prefer the black and white segments to the actual 80s Tales from the Darkside episode. We also get to see some old technology, not only from the 1960s, but from the 1980s, which is pretty dated at this point too, where they're shooting this on actual film and watching it back on these very, very small projectors that they had. Film is also a pain in the ass to edit.
The editor, the man who cuts the film, has to make sure the sound matches the picture exactly.
Screen 3, take 1.
As the top of the clapperboard touches the bottom, the editor makes a mark on the picture.
So that's basically the end of the episode. They hint that he's an alien, but we don't get a full reveal or a monster costume or anything like that. And I think it would have been good if they had an actual send-off, either him turning into an alien or what they did in the first episode of The Impressionist, where they have the alien spaceship land. Or maybe Mr. Smith could confess where exactly he is from and give some details on it. Once he gets this film, it does just kind of trail off. And they end it right there. I'm going to give this episode a 5. It's a decent episode, and I think a good idea. The execution is okay, but it's good to watch just for kind of nostalgic reasons, to reinvigorate your own nostalgia, not necessarily because this is one of the best episodes. Next up is episode 9, The Problem with Mary Jane, which is a ripoff of The Exorcist with a little girl who gets a demon inside of her and spends the entire episode in this bed. But it's actually pretty good. They throw in some comedic elements, but it actually ends up being one of the scarier episodes of Tales from the Darkside. Thanks for watching, and check out our playlist for all episodes of Monsters, Fear Itself, Tales from the Darkside, and Cowboy Bebop in order. Bye.
California.